So welcome to this project, and in this project we're going to build an OCR app. So what is an OCR app? So an OCR app is an image to text recognition app. So if I just pass in an image for this app, it's going to just extract the text out of it. So let me just show you a demo. If I click on this and click on gallery, I can just click on this image, and then now there you go, it extracted the text out of it. So what is the backend of this app? So what I'm doing is I'm just sending this image to an API named OCR Space, and there it's going to extract the text out of this and then send me the data back. So the API I'm going to just show you, this is an API, free OCR API, so it's free. We just need an API key, and this is the plan, so the free plan, and then there is also good documentation, the get parameters and the post parameters. And we can also copy this, there you go, copy it to clipboard, and I can also share this text if I want. Click on share, and I can also of course just select another image if I want. So that's a brief introduction of this app. It's going to be a pretty nice build. So let me just see you in the coding tutorials. So as always, I have created a new folder named OCR app, and let's get some packages before we actually code our application. So let's go to public.yaml, and the first package we're going to get is the Google Fonts package for configuring our fonts. Then the HTTP package, because we're going to make a request to the API, then we're going to get the parsed text back. We have to send our image to that API, right? That's why we're going to use this HTTP package. Then we're going to use the image picker package for picking the images, and then we're going to use the ESYS Flutter share package to share the text, and of course we're going to use the clipboard package to actually copy the text to our clipboard. So after getting these packages, also let's get some assets. In the assets, I just have one folder named images. I have this add file.png image. I'll just put this in the resources folder. If you want, you can just download this. So I have to tell Flutter that I'm using this image, so I'm going to just say images folder. And then after saving everything, let's actually go to our lib folder. Let's go to main.dart and code out our application. So first of all, let's actually do some cleanup. So I'm going to just delete everything in the material app. So I'm going to just delete this my app also. So this Flutter, so this default application which Flutter gives me, I'm going to just close out the material app. And in the material app, I'm going to say debug show check mode banner is going to be false, so I don't want this debug banner. Then the home of this whole material app is going to be a recognition screen. So let's say recognition screen. Let's create this widget. So I'm going to create a separate file for this. .dart. I'm going to just, everything should be in a smaller case, and I'm going to create a stateful widget because I'm going to have some state, right? So I import material.dart, and I'm going to create a stateful widget, and I have this recognition screen. So let's take this screen and let's actually import this in main.dart. So quick fix, just import this file. Perfect. Let's save everything. And we should have a black container because here we're returning a container. There you go, I have a black container. Let's return a scaffold. And for a scaffold, we'll have a body. So the whole body is actually a column, which is actually also scrollable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all give a background color for the scaffold. So I'll say background color is color. So this is like a light white color. It's actually quite white. I think you won't see any difference. So we're going to use this F8, F9, FP color code. Let me just save this. Actually, you won't see any difference. It's just another white color, but I just like this background color. Like, it's a bit more. I think it's a mixed. I think it's a mix of white and gray. And then the body of this whole scaffold is going to be a single child scroll view because my whole page should be scrollable. The child of a single child scroll view is going to be container because I'm going to have everything in the center. So I want to give alignment. So I'm going to say alignment is alignment.center. And the child of the whole container is going to be a column because I'm going to have multiple children beneath each other. So I'm going to say child column children. So the first child, I'm going to say it's a sized box because I want to have some spacing from the top. So the height I'm going to calculate dynamically. So I want to just take the height of the AppBar. So the height of the AppBar is 55 pixels. And I'm going to say 55. And let's also actually, after the size box, let's actually have a text widget which says text recognition. And before I actually forget it, I want to actually give some credits to the UI. So I'm going to use the UI here from Dribble. So we're going to actually render out this page here. So thank you Sumengyo for this UI. Of course, I'm going to not render everything out. I'm going to have some minor changes. For example, we'll have a copy button and a share button, but this is like an inspiration. So we're going to take this UI as an inspiration. So I'm going to have a text recognition. Let's actually give some styling. Let's create a text style function so that we can easily call it from anywhere we want. So let's create a new file named utils.dart where we'll have all our utils. Let's import Flutter here, material.dart, and let's actually create a function which returns a text style. So I'm going to say text style. So it's going to take in a double font size. So I'm going to say double size, and then as optional parameter, it's going to take a color and a font weight, so how bold it is. So font weight FW, and then we're going to return Google Fonts. I'm going to again use the Montserrat font. Of course, just feel free to use any font you want, Montserrat. And then I'm going to have a font size. So the font size is going to just be the size parameter, the color is going to be the color parameter, and the font weight is going to be FW parameter here. Okay, so now I can just call this function anywhere I want. I just don't have to write so much of code. So style, I'm going to just say text style. Let's import this function, and in the text style we're going to actually provide a font size and the color. So font size is going to be 30 pixels, and the color I'm going to get it from the Dribble here. So here we can get the color, so I'm going to use this blue color here. So I'm going to say color, and then let's say 0xFF1738EB. Then let's also actually give a font weight. So the font weight is pretty much going to be font weight or W700. So actually let's use a W800 this time, a bit bolder. And I think I don't, okay, this should be actually in the function itself. I just forgot it. Let's save everything, and we should have our text widget, text recognition, and I have an error because I didn't save everything. So let's say save all, and we should see our text recognition. So our header, there you go, I have text recognition. Let's also give some more spacing maybe from the top. So let's actually add the view insets. So view insets is just actually this height, this small amount of height. So to get that, I'm gonna actually say media query, dot off context dot view insets dot top. So I'm gonna just add 55 to the view insets from the top. So it's gonna give me some more spacing from the top. Okay, it didn't give me that much of spacing, but I'm actually okay with this. So okay, we have our text widget, we have the size box. After the text widget here, I'm gonna have a image which is gonna indicate this we have to add a file, and then if I already picked the file, then I'm gonna display the image which has been picked. So I'm gonna create an image widget, but before that, let's actually give some sized box spacing. So let's say sized box height 30 pixels, and after this height I'm gonna say image. And for the image, let's actually provide an asset image because I'm gonna get the image from the asset, but later on, depending on the state, we can also render the file image. So from the assets, let's go to the images folder. In the images folder, I have a file, add file.png. And let's provide some width and height. So the width is going to be 256 pixels, and also the height I'll just use 256. And let's actually also use the fit property. So I'm going to say fit is going to be box fit.fill. Now let's save everything, and we should have our image. There you go, add file.png. Perfect. Okay, after having the image, let's actually make the text a bit bigger. So let's say 35 pixels maybe. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, then after the text widget and the image, down here we'll actually have the parsed text, whichever text we parsed. So after this image, I'm gonna have some sized box. So I'll say sized box, height of 30 pixels. So I'm gonna have spacing of 30 pixels. Then I'm gonna have the parsed text here. So I'm gonna say text is, for example, let's just say lorem ipsum. So I'm gonna just have some random text here, but later on we will do it dynamically. I'm just hard coding some stuff for the UI, but when we implement the actual core functionalities, we will have the parsed text there. So the text style, I'm going to provide 25 pixels of font size, and the color is going to be colors.black. Or let's actually use this same color actually. Okay, let's just say 0xFF. Let's take this color code 0xFF. Then after the FF, we have to provide the actual color code. Then after the color, let's also provide a font weight. So I'm going to say font weight.w 600. And let's actually give some opacity for this whole color. So this is actually pretty much too dark. So let's actually provide an opacity. So I'm going to say with opacity of 0.6. I'm going to do the same thing also for this color here. I'm going to just provide some opacity of 60%. Okay, there you go. I have a text recognition header, then I have my image, then I have the actual parsed text. For now, it's just lorem ipsum, some random text, but later on we'll get the actual recognized text. Okay, perfect. Now after having the body of the scaffold, let's actually provide some floating action buttons here. So of course I want to have two buttons. One is the copy button, another one is a shade button, so that I can actually shade the parsed text. So in the scaffold here, I'm going to say floating action button is going to be actually a row, because I'm going to have two widgets next to each other, and in the row I'm going to have two children, and the two children are going to be floating action buttons. So on press, do nothing, and the child of the first floating action button is going to be icons.copy. And then let's actually provide a size, so 28 pixels should be good, and make sure you actually put an hero tag. So hero tag should be null, or else we'll have like some hero errors because we didn't provide any hero tag. So make sure this should be null, or else you'll get some warning messages and also some errors. And then we can actually just work on the other floating action button. So after this one, let's use another floating action button. This time we're going to use the reply for the shade functionality. There you go, reply. And size, let's actually make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to say 34, because this copy is actually big. You have to say 28. You will see a different size when we render it out. So hero tag is null. On press, for now do nothing. And let's also provide a background color for this floating action button. So background color is going to be color 0xFF EC 360E. Now let's save everything, and we should have a row of floating action buttons next to each other. Okay, there you go. But the problem is they're at the bottom left of the whole screen. I kind of want it here at the right side, right? So to fix that, let's go to the row, and we have to say main axis size. So the main axis size should be minimum. So I'm going to say main axis size.min. And this time they will come to the right side. There you go, perfect. So let's give some sized box. Let's actually give some spacing between these buttons. So in the middle, I'm going to have a sized box widget with a width of 10 pixels. Let's save everything, and we should have some width. There you go. I have the copy button. I also have the floating action button. And let's actually now implement the core functionality. So picking an image, then sending the image to the API and getting the parsed text back. So the first thing I want to implement is whenever I click on this button here, or actually this is an image, whenever I click on this image, I should have a dialog which says pick from gallery, pick from camera, or just cancel out the operation. So let's handle that. So I'm going to wrap this image into an inkwell so that I can add some on tap actions to the image. So
Instead of saying center, let's say equal, and let's actually see on tab. Whenever we click on this, let's actually open up a dialog. So I'm gonna call a function named options dialog, which takes in the current context. So make sure to provide the current context because we have to accept it as a parameter. So I'm going to call a function options dialog. It's going to take the build context, and now let's return a function. And after function, actually to render out a dialog in Flutter, you use the return show dialog function and not show. Okay, show dialog. There you go. And now we have to provide the current context. That's why I got it as a parameter here. And the builder is going to take in a context, and now we can return something in the builder. What we're going to return is we're going to actually return a simple dialog. So we're not going to return a dialog. So we're going to return a simple dialog, because for a simple dialog we can provide simple dialog options. So it's just predefined widgets, so we don't have to write so much of code. That's why I'm going to use some predefined widgets from Flutter, and I'm going to say return simple dialog. And for the simple dialog, it takes in children. So we're going to have 3 children. First one, so we're going to have 3 simple dialog options. And on press, whenever we click on this, for now let's do nothing. But later on we have to implement the pick from gallery and pick from camera. And a child of this is going to be a text widget. So I'm going to say child text. For now, let's say gallery. So this is going to be the gallery simple dialog option. And let's provide a style. So the style of this, again, we're going to just use our text style function. Text style function, then 20 pixels of font size. And the color is going to be colors.black. And the font weight is going to be font weight .w800. And after the simple dialog option, we're going to again have another simple dialog option. So let's do that, and this time it's from camera, so the user can also pick an image from the camera. Then at last we're going to have a cancel button. So when he clicks on this, we're going to actually dismiss the dialog. So to dismiss the dialog, we can just use the navigator.pop. So we're going to use the navigator and then call the pop function to actually just pop out the dialog. Navigator.pop, and it takes in the current context. Let's save everything. And now when I click on this image, I should have a dialog with 3 options. There you go, gallery, camera, and cancel. When I click on the cancel one, I'm going to just pop out the whole dialog. Now when I click on gallery and camera, I should actually be able to pick an image. So let's create a function named pick image, where we're going to actually pick the image and send it to our API. So pick image. And as a parameter, it's going to take an image source so that it knows from which source it should actually pick an image, from a gallery or from camera. So we're going to call the function from the simple dialog options here. So pick image, and we have to provide whichever source. So for example, for the gallery, I'm going to say image source.gallery, and for the camera, I'm going to use the image source.camera. Now let's save everything, and let's actually now implement the pick image functionality. So to pick the image, we can just use the image picker package. So I'm going to have a variable final image, and it could take some time to actually pick the image. So we have to actually wrap this in an async function. So async, and then we have to await the whole operation. So await image picker dot get image, and as a source we're going to just provide whichever source we pass in as a parameter here. And now we're going to have the actual image. So this image is going to be a picked file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just have a variable here, so final picked image, so that I can just show the picked image up here. So it's not going to be a final, it's going to be actually a file. So make sure to import this file from .io and not from .html. So make sure you import it from .io and not .html. This is really important. And at the beginning it's going to be null, and whenever we pick the image, whenever I pick the image, I'm going to say set state I'm going to set the state, so I'm going to update the UI. So I'm going to say image path. No, how did I name the variable? Sorry, it was picked image is gonna be a file. So I have this image, so this is gonna be a picked file, a type of picked file. I have to transform it into a file, so I'm going to again use the file from the .io, and I have to provide the path, so I can get the path with image.path, and this is how I get the path. So why I'm using this picked image variable? So I'm using this variable because now I want to actually, depending on state, so if I already picked the image, I want to show the image here, and I don't want this add file.png. So I can just use this picked image variable down here for the image. So here for as an image provider, when picked image is null, so if it is null, then only show the asset image, but if it's not null, then show a file image. So a small if else check, and the file, not a file image. Wait, I have to say not file. I have to say file image and not file. And we have to provide the actual file. So I'm going to use the picked image variable. So okay, this should be really good. Let's save everything. And now as you will see, when I click on this button, I should actually be able to select my image, and the image should be displayed here instead of the add file.png. So I'll just give some permissions. So let's pick this image. There you go, I have that image, and there is a problem. So first of all, I have the image, but this dialog should actually close. So to close the dialog, of course, I can just click on the screen and it will close, but I actually want it automatically to close whenever I pick an image. So to do that, after setting the state, so let's actually just pop out the whole dialog. So I'm going to say navigator.pop. Okay, this should be good, and this is how we pick an image. So what we have to implement now is actually send the image to our API and then get some response back. So get the parse text back and render it on our UI. So our API is actually this website, so OCR Space, and they have a free OCR API. We can just send the image, and they have some AI functionality, so it will just parse the whole image and give us a text as an JSON response back. So this is actually really cool, because first of all, in the free version, you just have to register for a key. You just have to pass in your email and password. So when you click on register here, you just have to create an account. I already have an account, and then when you create your account, wait, let me just show you. When you create an account, you will be provided with a free OCR API key. So with this API key, we're gonna actually make the request. So they will send you an email with the OCR API key when you just register. When you click on subscribe, you will get an email with your API key. So at the free version, we can make 25,000 requests per month. The file size limit is 1 MB. PDF page limit is 3. Speed is really fast. I already checked it out. Of course, really fast. And the rate limit is 500 calls per day. Okay, and then we have the pro, then we have the pro PDF, then we have the enterprise. So for the free version itself, you can do lots and lots of things. If you want to actually just publish this app to Play Store, if you want to have a production level app, I just recommend you to go with the pro version. You should be actually good. So for educational purposes, we're going to just use the free API key. And to actually make an API request, we have to actually hit this endpoint. So https api.ocrspace/parse/image, and as parameters, we have to pass in the API key, and we also have to pass in the URL or file or base64 image. So we're not going to post the file to this API key. What we're going to do is we're going to actually post the base64 image. So we're going to prepare the image in our Flutter app itself. We're going to prepare the image into a base64 image, and then we're going to send the base64 image to our API, and it's going to actually just pretty much just give a response back, and we should be good. So we can also, of course, if you want, you can just provide a file type, scale, is table, and so on. After navigator.pop context, let's have a comment here. So first thing first, we're going to actually prepare the image. So I'm going to prepare the image means I'm going to actually convert it to a base64 image, because we're going to send the base64 image to the API. So I can't just send this file to to the API because it was giving me some errors, like it doesn't work with this file. You should actually, it's better in Flutter if you just convert it back to a base64 image and then send it to the API. So how to convert images into base64 images in Flutter or Dart is pretty much easy. So first of all, we have to convert the image into bytes. So I'm gonna say var bytes because I'm not sure which data type this bytes variable will have. Then I'm gonna say IO, so IO, and I have to actually import a .io package. Let me just import it. So I'm gonna import .io again, but this time I'm gonna have prefix name, so the import .io as IO. I'm gonna take this IO, and here I'm gonna say IO dot file. So to convert it back to bytes, we have to say IO dot file, and then we have to actually, in this file, we have to provide the image path. So I'm gonna say pick the image dot path to get the path, and now we're gonna call a dot read as bytes sync function to actually read it as bytes. And then after getting the bytes, we are gonna actually now encode these bytes into base64. So first of all, we have to convert the image into bytes and then convert the bytes into base64 image. So it actually gives some data types. So I'm gonna just copy this, and it's gonna be uint8 list data type. It comes with library dot type data. Here now we're gonna have the image 64, so we're gonna have the base64 image. So I'm gonna just call it image 64, string image 64. We're gonna use the base64 encode function, which actually comes with the dot convert package. It's just in dot, and we have to provide the bytes. So I already have these variables, right? So yeah, this is how we convert it back to an image 64 image. So here we're picking an image, we're setting the state, so we're updating the UI, we're closing out the dialog, then we're converting the image to bytes so that we can convert the bytes into base64 image. So after doing everything, let's actually send this base64 image to our API. So I'm gonna again have a comment named send to API. So our endpoint is going to be string URL. Let's actually get the endpoint. So it was this URL, right? So I'm going to just copy this, paste it over here. Perfect. We have the URL. Now let's actually provide the data. So I'm going to say var data is going to be base 64 image. So make sure the spelling should be exactly the same, or else you'll get an error. So the lowercase and uppercase should also be same. Oh, I have some keyboard problems. Wait, I just have to convert it back to a normal keyboard. So now I should actually be able to close it's a semicolon. There you go. Okay, make sure you actually spell the base 64 image correctly. And this is the key, and we have to provide the value. So the value we can't of course say image 64 directly. We actually have to create another string named data, and we have to say data is equal to, make sure you actually do this. So don't actually just provide the image 64. You have to do this data in a double point, then we have to say which type. So image is in JPEG, and let's also say the base 64. So this is a base 64 image. So here I'm saying it's in JPEG image, and then I'm saying this is a base 64 image. Now we can actually provide the actual base 64 image. Perfect. So this is the data, and let's actually create a header. So, and again I'm just saying, make sure you actually use the same code like this, or else you'll get an error. And what header? Now we have to actually provide an API key. So again, there's going to be a map. I'm going to say API key is whichever API key you have. So when you register for this API, you'll get an API key. Take that API key and put it over here. I don't want to really show my API key because I don't really want it to be misused. So I'm going to just create a new file named API key. API key dot. I'm gonna import, no, I don't have to import anything. I'm gonna just say string API key, and I'm gonna provide my API key here as in value. I'm gonna just blur it out because I really don't want to show my API key. So I'm gonna take the API key variable, put it over here, and now we also have the header. Now we prepared everything. Let's actually now also send the API to the endpoint. So let's import the HTTP package because we're gonna make a post request. So import HTTP dot as HTTP, and then here what we're gonna do is HTTP dot response. So it's a data type of response. Then I'm going to create a response variable is equal to, of course, could take some time to actually send this image and get the data back. So we're gonna again use the await keyword. So await HTTP dot post, and we're gonna make a post request. Now we have to just provide the URL. So URL is just URL variable, and we have to also provide the body. So the body of this is going to be the data map, this one, and then we also have to provide the headers. So headers is going to be just a header here. Perfect. Now after getting a response, let's here say get data back. So here for the response we'll get some data back. Let's actually convert it back to a map. So I'll say map results. So this is going to be this is going to give us a response. Now we have to convert it back to a JSON. So we can just say JSON encode, or no, we have to actually decode it, right? So I'm going to say JSON decode. Now the source is going to be the response variable dot body. So this is how we decode it in JSON. Now let's actually print the result and see what we get before we actually parse, like before we actually just update our UI. Let me just save everything and let's see our result, if we get any result. So I'll say debug console. Again, I'm gonna just pick an image. So I'm gonna just pick this image, and after a while, there you go, I have my parse text. So failure to preparing is preparing to fail. There you go, I have a parse results key, and there I have a list, and in that list I have this parse text key with the value of the actual parse text. Now to extract it, I'm gonna say go to the result map, and there go to this parse results key. So go to the parse results key, and then it's a list. So go to the first index in that list because there is only one index, and in that list search for the keyword name parse text. So this should be good. This is how we print it. Now let's actually update our UI. So I'm going to create a variable named scan text or bool scanning, which is going to actually just, whenever we actually send this to our API, here I want, instead of the text itself, I want to show scanning so that the user knows, okay, we're doing something. And then I'm going to again just control the parse text into a variable. So first of all, I'm going to create a boolean named scanning. The default is going to be false, and also I'm going to again have a new variable named parse text, or scanned text is better. Scanned text is going to be empty string at the beginning, but later on we'll actually get the actual parse text and assign it to the scan text string here. So instead of printing it, let's actually set the state. So we'll set state scanned text is equal to this result parse results, and then go to the parse text keyword. This is how we actually get the scan text and update it to our UI, and I can use this variable in my UI. But before that, here after picking the image, also I want to say scanning is true so that user knows I'm scanning, and we're going to use the scanning variable down here later on, but let's actually just set the state here. So I'm going to say set state scanning is true, and when everything is finished, just say scanning is false. Okay, so after doing the changes here, you also have to do some changes in our UI. So instead of saying lorem ipsum and so on, whenever our scanning variable is actually true, but actually I'm going to do it up here. So if scanning is equal to true, so I can just say scanning. If it is true, that means then show a text widget, which is actually going to indicate scanning. Scanning point. I'm going to have a style text style. Text style function. I'm going to use a text style function. And it's going to take in a size, a color, and the font weight. So the size is actually going to be 30 pixels. The color is going to be colors.black, and the font weight is going to be font weight dot W700, or else just show this text widget. Do I have any errors? Let's actually close this the parenthesis again. Okay, there you go. I have a single line if check. So if scanning variable, if it's true, then show a text named scanning with the style, or else show the actual parsed text. So instead of saying lorem ipsum, I can use the variable scanned text here. So I can just use this variable scanned text. And now you will see it will also update in the UI itself. So let's pick from gallery. Now when I pick this, there you go, scanning, and there you go. After a while I have the whole scanned text. Let's actually align everything in the center. So text align center. So that means we're also now updating everything in our UI. That means perfect, everything is just working perfectly. So let's actually have a quick review before we go on to the copy and the share functionalities. So what we did was we actually picked the image, then we actually updated some things in our UI. So we said scanning was true, so that user knows it's actually scanning, and then we use this variable down there where we actually show the scanning text depending on the state. Then we're just closing the dialog. Then we're going to prepare the image so that I can send this image to my API. I'm converting the image back to a base64 image. So first of all, I'm just converting the image in bytes and then to a base64 image. Then I'm going to actually provide the whole data as a map. So base64 image, then make sure you have this exact line of code, actually exact string I mean. Then we have a header. So the header is going to be just our API key. Make sure to provide your API key here. And as a response, we're going to just post this whole data and headers and to the URL. Then at last we're going to get a response back. We're going to decode it into JSON and get the parsed text back, and just set the state of a scan text variable to whichever results we get. So okay, I hope it's also working for you guys, or else just check if you did anything false here, or if your image is corrupted or something like that. Like for example, if your image is corrupted, you'll have an error message. You won't have this parsed text. And now let's actually go on and implement the copy and share functionalities. So the copy and share functionalities are really straightforward. We just have to write a little amount of code, then we're actually also finished with those functionalities. So let's go to here, floating action button. Whenever the user clicks on this button, we actually want to copy this to our clipboard, and then we want to show a snack bar which just indicates perfect, you copied it to the clipboard. So I'm going to use the Flutter clipboard package. So Flutter clipboard dot copy. So we can just use a copy function to actually copy the text. As I said, it's just pretty straightforward. And the text is going to be the scan text variable, so we're going to copy the scan text variable. And after actually copying this to the clipboard, so we can just use a .then. So .then, it's going to just here in the .then, we can just perform anything after we actually copied it. So it's going to give us the actual copied value, and here I can just do anything I want. Like I can just do the thing what I want to do if I copied the scan text. Like after copying it to the clipboard, I'm gonna here show a snack bar, right? So I'm gonna show a snack bar which is gonna say okay, it was copied to the clipboard, so the user knows okay, everything is perfect. And I'm gonna use the snack bar widget, and the content is going to be a text widget which is going to say, we're going to say copied to clipboard. Let's use the style parameter, and I'm going to use a text style function. And as a font size, I'm going to say 18 pixels of font size. And the color is going to be a white color, so I'm going to say colors.white. And the font weight is going to be font weight.w700, so it's going to be quite bold. Let's close everything out. Okay, perfect. We have the snack bar. Now to show the snack bar, so we created a snack bar, but we have to show the snack bar, so we can use the scaffold messenger.offContext. So we have to say scaffold messenger.offContext. Now I can just use the .show snack bar function, and we have to just provide the snack bar as a variable. Okay, this should pretty much do the job. And it's also provided duration. So how long it should show the snack bar, just show 1 second. So duration seconds is 1. I think the default is actually okay, defaults to 4 seconds. I just want to show it 1 second. Now let's see if our copy functionality is actually working. So when I click on this, I should be able to copy it. There you go, copy to clipboard. Let's check this out. So let's go to Google and paste it. So let's paste this here and see if we really copied it to the clipboard. Click on paste, and there you go. Yes, successfully we copied it to the clipboard. Let's go back to our app, and let's actually implement the share functionality so that we can actually share this whole text. So here in the floating action button itself and the reply icon, I can say on press. This is really straightforward. We just have to use the ESYS Flutter share package, and it provides us with the share class. I can just say share dot text, because we are actually sharing not a file, we're not sharing files, we're gonna just share a text, and we have to just provide a title. So title, I'll just have an empty string, or I'll just say OCR app. So our name, let's actually say FCR app. So our app name is actually FCR. Just say FCR. And text, you have to actually provide the actual text which I have to share. So I can again use the scan text variable. And MIME type, it means you have to say which type it is. So it's going to be a text. So the type is going to be text / a plain text. So it's not a HTML type or something like that. It's just a plain text. Now when I click on the share button, I'll be able to actually share this. There you go, the text is here. And as I'm not on a real phone, so if I would have been on a real phone, I would have WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook functionalities. For example, here I just only have the drive and messages. I can only share it to the drive and messages. But if you try this out on a real phone, you'll also have the WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Gmail functionalities. And yeah, that's it for this whole section. I guess we're actually pretty much finished. It was really easy, as you saw, to actually create an OCR app, because many people think it's really tough. So it is actually tough if you have to do it with an AI, but we actually have an AI. So we have an API which we send the image to, and it's gonna actually parse it for us and give us the data back. I hope you enjoyed this section. I also hope that you learned something from this section. Let me just see you in the next project.